Oh, it looks like we're live now. Thank you, Dexter, for that introduction. Thank you for joining us for Collective Conversations. We are here this evening at the Cave Collective, which is at 406 5th Street in downtown Rapid City. My name is Mary Hahn. I serve as the president here at the Cave Collective, and it is my pleasure to be joined by so many friends this evening. We're really excited with what we get to bring for you tonight as far as information and calls to action and just some, I think, really compelling personal stories about our lives in this community and the ways that we are working together to make progress for the betterment of this community. So again, we're down here at the Cave Collective. My name is Mary Hahn. I use she, her pronouns. And I'm going to give my friends a moment here to introduce themselves as well.
I'm Grace. I use she, her, they, them pronouns.
I'm Rylan. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Toni Diamond. I use she, her pronouns. I'm vice president of the Black Hills Center for Equality. Big advocate for the LGBTQ community.
I'm Jackson. I use he, him pronouns.
All right, so there's a lot of reasons that I've asked these particular people to be up here with me this evening. And like I said, we're going to be talking a lot about the upcoming events for Pride this week, and we'll kind of give a rundown for those, so pay attention because there's a lot happening. We're very excited. But we're also here with some founding members of the Stevens High School Plus Club, which is really exciting. And I was wondering which of you wants to tell us a little bit about Plus Club and what that's about.
So we started Plus Club at Stevens right towards the end of last school year. And yeah, we had about like 2 meetings before we finally ended. But we were the 3 of us talked, and we decided that there really wasn't any support for any of the LGBTQ students at our high school. And we wanted to create a safe and welcoming space for everyone.
So with those first couple of meetings that you did, I mean, obviously it was something that you just kind of brainstormed about, realized there was a need, and decided to fill that need. What kind of turnout did you have, and what did you hear as feedback from students? What were people really looking for?
Well, we got like 37 our first meeting. We only had 2 meetings, then 54 the second meeting. And I mean, I heard... What? With 1 day's notice. And I heard there were a lot of students who came, clearly, but I also heard some people saying, like, oh, let's go crash it, or, like, just awful things about it, too. So there's both sides of that. We got a lot more support than I thought, though.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome. So then with starting a new club at a high school, especially one, and it's unfortunate that in the political climate like this, something as simple as our identities can be politicized, right? Which is really kind of an active harm that occurs against members of the LGBTQ plus community. But was it difficult for you to get approval from the school, especially that late in the game? Or were they pretty much on board? Did they just jump in and say, yes, let's do this?
So we had a couple teachers who were like super on board with us. And so we had them like rooting for us from the start. And I had been like in conversation with the superintendent of RCAS, and she was like super like all for it. There was some hesitation on her part though, because she knew like it was the end of the year, and especially with like the school board and everything, they were trying to deal with like masks stuff at this time, and so they're kind of like putting it on the back burner. And she was afraid that if we did it without like full approval, we'd get lashbacks from like parents, other students and stuff, and she didn't want that to happen, so she wanted us to get like full approval, so then like we had a less chance of people like, I don't know, being super concerned about their students' lives or whatever, I don't know. But it was really cool to have like her on board, even if she thought that we should wait. But yeah, our biggest problem was like getting it up, because we wanted to be kind of like as bulletproof as possible, because there's gonna be lashback regardless, and so we thought like the less the better, especially like since it's supposed to be supportive. We don't want like that going on to the students who attend. But it was a really good turnout, and then we also had like a ton of teachers drop in and show their support during the first meeting. So that was really cool, and we're hoping that we can get more support next year. So.
Awesome. Did you have anything to add to that, Rylan? Okay. I just think that's super cool that y'all saw a need, you took the initiative to make something happen, and like now we're able to build towards something even bigger for next year and just keep the ball rolling on that. So I think that that's really cool. And again, if you're watching via live stream and you're not here with us in person, you're welcome to leave a question in the comments of the live feed, and Dexter will create some elaborate form of getting a message to us to let us know what your question is. He might just send his 1-year-old baby up here with a note or something. We'll make it work. So if you have a question for any of us, please feel free to ask at any time, and we'll do our best to address your question in the meantime. And if you are here watching in person and you have a question for us, just raise your hand and shout it out. I see someone here that may have a question already. Is it for me to read?
I guess I was just gonna write them down over the time, but I guess one of the questions I had was how can one become more confident in their sexual orientation or gender identity?
Ooh, that's a great question. So we have a friend here who just asked, what can someone do to become more comfortable in their sexual orientation or their gender identity? And so I think that that's something, wow, we probably have some people up here who are really qualified to talk about that, and I'm probably not because I'm 30 years old and I still struggle. So let's pass the mic firstly to, let's go around. Who wants to start? Okay, Grace is going to start for us.
Okay, so I was probably in my freshman year when I was like, that girl looks really hot. And that was kind of how I realized that I am not straight, so far from that. But yeah, and I think I'm really fortunate. I have an extremely supportive family. And other members of my family had already come out as part of the LGBTQ community by the time I realized I was a part of it. And so I knew my family was really supportive of me if I were to come out to them. And so that was something that I'm really fortunate to have. So I never really had to deal with stuff at home. But specifically in school and stuff, I think the best thing that helped me was finding other LGBTQ youth. Because I have some really great friends who are part of the community. And I have awesome friends who aren't, and they're supportive still, and it's really cool. But it's it's almost a necessity to have somebody who can relate to you on that level, because they just won't understand what it's like to not be a cis straight student in a conservative area. And so friends is a big thing. It's surrounding yourself with friends, and sometimes you have to put yourself out there a little bit and reach out and be like, hey, want to go get coffee or something? I had to do that. At the cave. Yeah. So yeah, and finding pockets in the community like this is really awesome. I discovered it this year, which is sad. I wish I would have been been connected earlier, but yeah. But that's a really important one, is having friends who you can talk to about stuff like this. You want to talk? I'm sorry.
I came out earlier than Grace, probably around 6th grade, early middle school-ish, and it's been quite a long journey from there. But I think my biggest thing is that making mistakes is okay. Labels, label yourself however you want to. You can always take it back. There's no right or wrong in your journey of self-discovery, and self-exploration is really important, and you should take the time to do that.
I would add that take the time to do some research. I mean, the internet is full of information, and if you're questioning, that's a great source of information. Like these guys have already shared, I would say find local groups where you can talk to somebody and help you understand maybe what's going on with your emotions, with your feelings. I knew that I was a transgender woman. I knew I was a woman from about 5 or 6. I didn't come out until I was till I hit 50, and yes, I'm over 50. And so it's never too late, and it's never too early. It's what's right for you. I would also say make sure you have a support group, because when you do come out, sometimes it can be painful, sometimes it can be ugly, but and then if you have a support system, somebody you can turn to, it's going to help you. But if you try to go it alone and try to make it on your own and you get this rejection, you don't know what to do with it, that's where the self-harm comes from. That's where the suicide comes from. Making sure you have a support system would be the biggest thing I would encourage people to do.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw in there that if you are someone who feels like you don't have a support system and you're curious how to come out, you're curious about your identity, you're curious about any of that, and you just need a safe place, like the Cave Collective is absolutely, that's what we're here for. And so we welcome you down here. We welcome you with your questions and your concerns or anything like that. So just know that we're here, and you can always reach out to us. Jackson.
Well, yeah, I'm still not comfortable with my identity still. Like, I've been out since probably 13 or so. I knew when I was like 4, but I don't, like, the cave is really the only place I'll wear these heels, only place I'll express myself, you know? Like, I'll walk around downtown with my flag, but I'll still be fearing, like, what are people gonna think of me? Like, I'm still not comfortable with that, so I'm not sure what kind of advice to give, really. Because, like, I still have that way to go.
Okay, so I kind of have to say this because, like, it's really awesome that Jackson shared that, like, even though, like, he does, like, certain things where, like, wear his flag and stuff, but he's, like, scared, and sometimes, like, people are terrified, like, rightfully so, because there are some terrible people out there who will, like, pick on you because of it. But Jackson was, like, such a big inspiration. Like, first year of high school, I saw him running around in like a unicorn onesie, and I was like, I want to be that kid's friend. And unfortunately, I never really got to know him very well until like just this year, really. But yeah, and so that's awesome. And like, if you put yourself out there, if you're like brave enough to do that, and you don't have to, but if you do, like, there's other people like me who are looking at you, and you're like, oh my gosh, that person is legit, and like, you'll get support from other people. There's people out there who support you even if you don't know that. So
I think that's true, and I think that every courageous act of self-love that we do in our own lives, whether that's being true to ourselves or like coming into our identity, whatever that may be, like, even if we don't realize what we're doing, we're giving other people the permission and the ability and the courage to maybe do the same or to take some of those steps for their own lives. And I think that's something I wanted to touch on a little bit with this conversation, because I know we have people up here who are involved in Youth City Council, who have been involved with state legislation, who have been involved in so many of the fights in this state in particular, to move toward a more beautiful and equal society, and oftentimes facing a lot of resistance and a lot of difficulty. And I wanted to touch a little bit on what we've seen over the past few years that we would call progress, and action steps that we feel could be taken as we move forward. Because I know, like, for me, like, I'm 30, right? I'm not old, but I'm not young either. And so, like, I know I've shared with a couple of you, like, when I went to my junior year of prom, I was taking a girl with me to prom, and this was like 2006 or 2007, and it was not allowed, right? The school just wouldn't even allow that. They said you have to have, the couple has to be a boy and a girl, and so they wanted me to write my brother's name down on my ticket as my couple, and then have my girlfriend go with someone that she knew that was a boy, and then we could just meet up later. But it couldn't on paper say that it was 2 girls going to prom. And it was just, looking back now, you're like, what? That was 10 years ago. Like, that's ridiculous. So there clearly things are happening. But what has happened that you've seen as young people, and as someone who's an older member of the community? Toni, don't laugh at me. Toni's 34, plus some. But for like, what progress have we seen in these last few years, and what are some things that we know we need to do to continue moving the ball forward on this?
I think a really big thing in the schools was like 2 years ago about, there's another club at Stevens called Wise Club, and they help to get gender identity on the non-discrimination like section on the handbook, which is really cool because that obviously wasn't on there, and so they were able to fight the school board on that a little bit to get that put on there.
I spoke at Douglas High School, and I was really impressed with the inclusivity that I saw there. There was rainbow flags on the wall, and they had a club there. I think the biggest thing I would say as far as in the school setting is educating or sharing, inviting people from the community to speak to you and help you learn. Because I think that's the biggest thing that is hindering is people are afraid of things they don't know, and once they get to know, like what I have isn't contagious. You know, I'm not going to touch you and you're going to turn into a trans person. You know, but seriously, that's what people think sometimes. Like, don't touch me. It's like, okay, whatever. But educating people, helping remove those fears. And I've seen that as, like you said, last year I ran for the State House of Representative as the first transgender woman in the state ever. And I was prepared for a lot of backlash and attack, but it never happened. All my opponents were very kind, very civil. When I was able to do TV interviews and radio interviews, very civil, very straightforward and informative. So I think just running, even though I didn't win, just running helped open the door for people to hear about the LGBTQ community and see that, hey, we're just like you. We believe in equality. We believe in the same things you do. We want to, and just, yeah, so just educating people, I think, is the biggest thing.
So gender identity is on the school policy? Okay, I was told that it wasn't and that they wouldn't change my name to anything. I was told, like, just recently, last year. Okay, I was told that it wasn't, so that's why I was really confused, and that they wouldn't, nothing about names, bathrooms. That's like, a big part of the problem there. I don't know, I was told that it wasn't on there by administrators. And that it wasn't protected, and I went through the handbook and I didn't see it either. So, I don't know. Hopefully. So I was just really confused when you said that, because I didn't think it was on there. Yeah, it's just.
Well, we'll see. I've never wanted to read a handbook more. So moving a little bit toward talking about this week in particular, and I think that the events of this week, like we have Pride coming up. Pride in the Park is happening on Saturday at Memorial Park between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. You can come down to Memorial Park here in Rapid City. You can enjoy live music. You can enjoy a drag show. You can get to know other people. You can network and make friends and check out the cool booths that are going to be down there. There's going to be a lot going on, which is super exciting. And Toni here has been like coordinating all of it. So we're super glad that she's here to tell us more about it. And then there's some other events happening as well, but do we want to start with Pride in the Park, and then we can kind of work our way back to these next couple days? Do it.
Sure. Well, I'm very excited about Saturday. Saturday, well, first of all, this is my first time ever planning an event this big, so it's been a monumental task, but I'm excited. We've got over 50 vendors coming this year so far. We had 87 fill out applications. About 50 completed so far. I'm not sure how many will show up, but it's all kinds of crafts, music, food. It's just a great. What's inspiring to me is the variety of vendors that are coming. It's just and it's a community thing. It's bringing the community together. And one of the things that I've worked hard on this year is speaking to local businesses, asking them if they want to contribute a gift for a raffle, if they wanted to, just getting them involved, pulling them in slowly, just integrating them and just watching as I think this year will be the biggest one that we've had. And I'm excited by that, and I'm also terrified by that, because if it goes great, then yeah. If it doesn't, then I'm probably going to get run out of Rapid City. But it's just, I'm excited because we've got youth city council coming, we've got different political parties coming, we've got churches coming, we've got just a very eclectic group of people coming, and it's just, and I'm looking forward to seeing the families and the unity and everything. It's just going to be an exciting time. And it is, again, it's from 10 to 4. I do want to say I'm thankful to the Cave Collective as one of our sponsors. The Holiday Inn is one of our platinum sponsors, and then Stan Adelstein donated a substantial amount to help us to be able to put this on. So there's some great people in the community that are really helping make this happen. So.
So with your first time coordinating Pride, this is a little bit different this year, because last year we weren't able to have Pride at all, right? So it was just like, the dead summer of nothing, where it was just everything was at a standstill. And so the theme of this year's Pride is a pretty cool one, and I am curious how you came up with it and how you feel about it.
This year's theme for Pride is Together Again, and we were tossing around names, and this is just something that came out of my head. It's like, and I wrote it down on paper, and Together Again, and it just really stood out. It's like we're coming together, and it's not just the LGBTQ community; it's the community at large, all of Rapid City. And actually, we have vendors coming from out of state, so we're touching on the tri-state area for people coming in to come together. So it is coming together again for the first time in over 14 months, and just really starting to feel safe being together and to be able. I'm looking forward to, one of the things I'm really looking for is every year when I've gone, there's always been a mom there's like with free mom hugs. And I love those because my mom passed away before she met me. And I imagine that's her giving me a hug. So pretty powerful for me.
That's a really amazing story, and thank you for sharing that. And I love the theme as well. I didn't realize it came straight from your brain, but there it is. The Together Again creator sitting at a table with me. So have you guys gone to previous Prides, and if so, what are you most excited for at this one? Do you know the music lineup? Is there a particular drag performer you're looking forward to? What are you into?
Oh, I just want to wear the flag, just capes. That's what I'm looking forward to. I have one in my backpack. It's over in that room. I didn't bring it with me.
You could wear it.
I could.
Go grab it.
All right. Anyway, but we should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Run around with capes. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, yeah, they're gonna get it.
I do like wearing flags as capes, and that's one of the things that we sometimes do down here at the Cave Collective when we're performing for open mic or just wandering around making coffee. It's just delightful. Makes you feel like a superhero, but also cooler than a superhero somehow. So that's great. What about you, Rylan?
Going with the theme, I just really like seeing everyone together and enjoying themselves and being happy. I also really like seeing everyone's outfits and the posters that they bring. Those are always fun.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm with Rylan. I mostly go to Pride to people watch because I like seeing like all the different like colors people come in, and some people go like all out. They have like really like elaborate outfits sometimes, and it's really cool. And I also like to just like kind of like wander around and like I don't really go for a lot of like the performances, but I like to see them. So I don't like plan around it, but yeah.
Nice. I'm really excited because I think a couple of my favorite memories are of Pride in the Twin Cities and being out at the park and just seeing the vast array, all of the different expressions of humanity that are there are just so fascinating. So the people watching, for sure, I go in for that where I'm just like, this is great. I could just sit and see all of these colorful humans all day long, and this is what I get to do with my life. But there's also just this sense of like feeling kind of at home where like, that no matter what, like there are people there that love you as you are. And I think that is super powerful and not something that you necessarily feel everywhere you go. And so it's really cool to see, like Toni said, people who are coming from churches or different political organizations or whatever, and they're all there really to try and understand one another and try to be unified in this day and figure out a way to see one another and embrace one another's humanity. And I think that is super powerful, and I'm so excited. There's an artist coming from Wisconsin, right? Did you want to tell us a little bit about Maribelle Holmes? Yes.
Okay, so I love one of the things about when we were in isolation. It's like I really got hooked on TikTok. Okay, so yes, I'm 53 years old and I'm addicted to TikTok. And I met this amazing artist on TikTok. Their name, they, them, I'll get it. They, them, they are amazing artists. They've got amazing music. And just there's a vibe and there's an energy in their music. And we became friends on TikTok, and then I asked them, I said, hey, would you be interested in coming to Rapid City and performing? And at first they were going to be out of the country, and then they emailed me back and said, hey, you still want me to come? I said, heck yeah. So yeah, they get here on Thursday. I get to pick them up at the airport, and they're performing for the Youth Pride. They're performing at the park, and they'll be performing at the after party at the Holiday Inn. So it's going to be super cool.
I know. I think that's the only TikTok experience I've really ever had so far was with Toni showing me their music. So I'm pretty excited to see them live also. And you touched a little bit on Youth Pride, mentioned that. And that is something that's coming up here at the Cave Collective on Friday evening. So July 9th at 7 p.m. until about 10 p.m. We're going to have live music here from artists who are both local. And then we're going to have Maribelle Holmes doing a set here on Friday night as well. You're welcome to come down to the Cave Collective and just enjoy some time, some live music, see some friends, hang out, buy a coffee, and just kind of get to know this space and the fact that there are a lot of people, even within Rapid City, in the middle of, the Midwest of nowhere in South Dakota, who are really excited for Pride, and we're all here for you and with you. So we're really excited for the Youth Pride event on Friday as well.
And I wouldn't say for anybody that's listening to this, tell your friends. This is a safe place for you to express or even step into maybe testing who you are and what you want and be able to ask questions in a safe place. I'm so excited that we can have a Youth Pride separate event that's just for youth. That's not just an afterthought. This is huge. We're so thankful for the Cave Collective partnering with us to make this happen and just make this a special event. I want to see it grow every year. I do.
Well, thank you. I am excited also. And I am thinking now about tomorrow night, which we have an event called Love for All, which is happening down here at the Cave Collective, and it is from 6 to 8 p.m. We're going to have, actually in this venue space, we're going to have an entirely new art installation that we're putting up. Oh, we're going to be working so hard all day tomorrow to install a bunch of artwork, including 28 pieces that Jackson made. So that's going to be covering an entire wall. But we're just going to be down here transforming this place into an art exhibition called Love for All, which opens tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And we're going to have performances as well from a bunch of young people. And I think, Rylan, are you performing tomorrow night? Rylan, what are you performing?
I'm doing a 15-minute set, and my songs are going to be a secret.
It's no spoilers here. Don't worry. Come on down and figure out what it is for yourself. But Jackson, do you mind sharing a little bit about what you've created?
They're just dragons, and they're dragons, and they're not other animals. They're dragons because then no one can criticize me on the anatomy, because dragons can look like anything. If I drew them as like cats or something, people are gonna be like, oh, the legs look wrong, or like, oh, that's not how a cat looks. But if they're dragons, no one can tell me what to do. And they're in they're in a bunch of pride colors, so like different flags. And I didn't write what it meant on them, but I printed off a little picture of the flag because I got some of the colors wrong. I was limited to like 100 colors. No, because it's all in marker. But I think they look pretty cool. Yeah. And then one of my friends helped me. The token, the only one of my friends helped me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was so cool for the last few weeks. Almost every night that I've been here working down at the Cave Collective, whether it was an open mic night or a live music show or a night like this where we're having a collective conversation, Jackson's been here just drawing away on these dragons and like showing off progress as he goes, and it's been super cool to see. And there are flags that I didn't even know were in existence that now I've learned about and like learned the story behind them. And so like what a cool visual representation of like equality and inclusivity, and like what a way to educate yourself on these different flags and the colors and what they mean. And Dune was so helpful. Also, I know back there coloring, I'm not a good artist at all, and so I just admire everything that people do. It's very intimidating, and I'm going to stop talking now because it's that intimidating. But you should come down for it, regardless. 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow night, and like I said, we'll have a variety of youth artists. We have a short film that's going to be screening with some discussion afterwards. And again, that was developed, written, and produced by a group of young people. Is that correct? There's a short film screening occurring. Is that something that you know anything about? Yeah. Yes, Grace knows something. You don't have to give anything away.
So I had written through a skit for for this group called Take Action, which is like a really small acting group in the community. And we, as Take Action, we kind of focus on like bringing education and awareness to different parts of the community. And we choose topics based on what we think, like as youth, should be talked about more. And then we form skits about them and we perform them at different places. They used to be like really heavy in schools, but like by the time we got kicked up again, it kind of like hit the pandemic. So it was really cool. And so like during the pandemic, I was like kind of writing through this skit that I procrastinated a bunch on. And it was focused around like a certain aspect of the LGBTQ community, focusing on a transgender boy, because none of our other skits, like they had like certain themes, like there was like a character that was gay, but you know, it wasn't like the focus. And so I thought that would be something that I kind of know something about, that I thought needed to be included in the other skits that we have, like about drug awareness and sexual abuse and violence. But we finally got it finished up. We like did it in like 1 month. So that was like really cool because we usually have more time. But it's really cool that we got it done so quick that we can like premiere it here with the support of like the Cave. So that's really cool.
Thank you. You're giving me more information than I already had, and I was like pushing for more information. So now I feel like I'm fully informed. Very excited for tomorrow night. But yeah, there's just a lot going on, and so I think that if you're looking for a place to plug in, if you're looking for a place to get involved, the Cave Collective is probably going to have a lead on somewhere that you can feel like family, and I think that that's important. There was one other thing that I wanted to talk to Toni about, which was potentially y'all, with the Black Hills Center for Equality, you're opening a new office. Is that correct? Where is your new office, Toni?
Our new office is right across across the alley from you guys.
Oh, how fantastic.
Yeah, I can come over for coffee. Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of a big thing that we're working on right now. And Dexter, our executive director, and Alexis have just been working really hard across the alley from us here at the Cave Collective to put in some new office space so that the Black Hills Center for Equality can have a new physical office space. So that'll be super good, especially in the post-pandemic world that we're stepping into. And we have another office going in over there as well for the LGBTQ Family Connection Center. So we've got friends of ours who are actually moving here from the East Coast to launch this center, and their offices are going to be right downtown here next to us. So it's just going to be a fantastic little, I mean, it's basically a commune now, but we welcome new people anytime, so come join the commune. It went from collective to commune real fast. What happened?
I think that's a beautiful thing, though. Looking at how it's, many times I get asked, how can one person make a difference? And you touched on that. It's like you had a dream for this. Alexis and other people had, you know, it's like starting the Black Hills Center for Equality to give a presence here in Rapid City. Joe Barr bringing in his community center, and then since I ran for office, I've made connections with the Human Rights Campaign, with the ACLU, with the Transformation Project. And they're all wanting to have a presence here. And now that we have physical space between the Cave Collective and the Black Hills Center for Equality, they want to come and participate. And they want to, so, I mean, we're opening the doors in Rapid City, and it takes each of us working to do a little bit. And it's making a big difference in Rapid City. So yeah, one person can make a difference.
Yeah, I think, and you were sharing a little bit before we went live about that with Rylan and I think that is so powerful because when I even look at the journey of the Cave Collective and the fact that, you know, Natasha founded this place so many years ago in an actual cave, just hosting live music shows in a cave, like, oh, I love music, what can I do with that? And then just going from there, and then, you know, she and Dexter got married and founded the initial cave downtown, and I was just bartending at the time, and I was like, I don't have much to offer, but here's some bartending tips. And then now, like 3 years later, here's this place. And what happened? None of us were doing anything, and now here's this thing, which I say that, but Dexter's been doing everything. But regardless, it's just like, yeah, one person really does make a difference. And I think of each of you at the table and the story that each of you carry and the ways that you've impacted the community. And it's just really powerful when you see everyone's story kind of intertwine, but like still maintain its singular line. And the way that you've all created change in this community and continue to do so, I think is super cool. What other thoughts do we have? Oh, a question.
I guess I got a question. So, like, since most of you have been to Pride Out, what is one of the most memorable one of the most memorable things to happen to you during Pride?
Ooh, we have a question of what is one of the most memorable things to happen to you during Pride? Who wants to go first?
This is kind of stupid, but I've only gone to one Pride before, and that was in middle school again, and then was busy. Then the pandemic happened, so this is gonna be my first Pride in a while. But I vividly remember there was a girl with a Babadook sign. And for those of you that don't know, Babadook is a horror movie, but it accidentally got sectioned into the LGBTQ section on Netflix, and so it kind of became a meme. And so it was something like Babadook says gay rights, something like that. I've just always remembered that, so that is my story.
I think for me, I was attending a Pride down in Denver, and I was there by myself, and I didn't know anybody, and I was walking through the crowd, and a couple people came up to me and say, "Hey, how are you?" And they introduced themselves, and I made new friends. It was a new connection, and it's being in a foreign city and not knowing anybody, and just, I was almost ready to leave because I didn't know anybody, and I felt so awkward being there. But the love and the openness and acceptance that I received turned it into such an amazing experience that, it's one of the most memorable Prides I've been to. And I'm hoping that I hope that that's one of my goals and dreams, is that by doing this, that gives somebody else that kind of an experience where they can come in and feel alone but leave with the family.
One of my favorite moments at Pride was 2018. I was in Minneapolis, and there was a drag show occurring where she was singing Elsa. She was dressed as Elsa, and she was singing Let It Go, and it was like this beautiful Frozen moment, and all of the kids in the crowd were just completely awed, because Elsa was here serenading them in the flesh. And I had my baby with me, who was about 2 months old at the time, and just in the middle of one of the most outrageous notes that I've ever heard prolonged by human lungs, the baby was in the carrier on my chest and just projectile pooped. I don't know if anyone has ever had that happen with an infant before. Probably not, and I hope not, but I did. And then there was just poop all over, and so everyone was looking fabulous, right? Because it's Pride, and everyone's just dressed up, and they're all beautiful and gorgeous, and I'm walking around in sweltering 90-degree Minnesota heat with baby poop just filtering into my nostrils, and the baby's screaming, and my brother is there with me with his boyfriend, and I'm crying, and the baby's crying, and everyone's so happy all around me, and I'm just covered in poop. And I was like, this is a really apt metaphor for how my mental health is, but I didn't expect it to so fully manifest in physical form. So that stands out to me, but also my child was then helped later that day. We were walking toward the stage covered in poop, and Elsa offered to help us and gave us a place on the side of the stage to get the baby changed and everything. So my baby's diaper was changed by Queen Elsa at Pride.
Mine isn't appropriate to share. I'm just gonna say I like the drag queens.
All right.
Okay, Jackson. So mine's mostly just kind of a personal thing, but I haven't been to a whole lot of Pride events and stuff, but I don't remember if it was the last Pride event here or not. But I always seeing the other people that I know around the park and stuff. And so sometimes I'll see a person that I know from school, and I'll be like, "You're here," and they'll look at me and they'll be like, "You're here," and then we bond because it's cool. But one of the biggest things was when I saw my brother at Pride, and he had brought his boyfriend, who is the most introverted person in the world, and I was so surprised that he managed to drag him out of his house and get him to a really social event. But it was also the first time I'd ever seen my brother's boyfriend. And so I saw my brother walking through, and there's this guy following, and I'm like, who the heck is that? And then, like, my brother came over to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, is that him? Is that him? Because I'd only ever seen him through, like, car windows when he drives past our house. And so, yeah, I was like, I don't know, kind of fanatic at that point, because I was like, this person is like a mystery to me, like for like ever, years. And I'd met them at a Pride event, so that was kind of weird.
That's so cool, though. I like these stories, and I'm excited to hear yours later, Jackson. When you think about your journey, Toni, and the way that your life has kind of come to fruition, and you stepped into yourself, and you've talked about how, I mean, it took you until you were 50 to really live as you. And how does that feel when you're finally able to do that? Like, how did your mental health even survive for so long? And what are some ways that you think young people today who are still struggling, who might not be able to come out, who might not be in a safe environment to come out, would you have any words for them, or any advice or thoughts on how you have been so resilient?
I don't know if resilient is a word. I think I barely survived for 50 years. I lived the lie. And by that I mean, it's like, as a guy, I got married, I had kids, I had the house, I had the job, I was the director of an organization, I had everything. The white picket fence, I had everything. But none of that made me happy, because I wasn't living my authentic life. It wasn't until I took a leap of faith at 50 and chose to finally love myself, embrace myself, and accept myself, and reject the lies of other people telling me that you're sick, there's a problem. And taking that courageous step forward and just believing in myself, I think, was the biggest thing. It's like I knew in my heart, I knew in my soul, it's like, I'm a girl. I've always been a girl. Don't make me be something I don't want to be. I'm not happy. And so I would say, I knew that someday I would be free. I think that's what gave me hope, is knowing that someday I'd be free. What I would share and say to others would be, don't be afraid to reach out. It's who you are is your choice. You don't have to live for somebody else. You don't have to follow into a role that they want you to fall into. If that's not who you are, if that's not how you identify, then seek out who you are and express yourself in, if it's how you dress, if it's the way you speak, if it's whatever. Don't be afraid to express yourself. But for me, I wish 20 years ago, it's like I would have probably been killed if I came out. Things have changed a lot. You talked about how things have changed. It's much safer today for me to come out. And I think that's part of what gave me the courage too. Is like I saw more transgender people stepping out in different aspects and professions in life, sports, politics, whatever. And it's like, I can do this. And there are other people like me. And I think that's the other thing I would tell you, is like, you're not alone. If you think that you're alone, don't listen to the lies. You are not alone. There are other people that you can relate to and talk to, and who feel the same as you do. And I would say, don't give up. Find a safe place. This is a safe place. The Black Hills Center for Equality is a safe place. So there's groups and schools now that are a safe place.
Thank you. I think that's really good advice, and just the knowledge that whatever you're struggling with, and even if it's something that you can't yet name or that you're scared to say out loud, like, there are safe people and safe places, and like, that's what we strive to be here at the Cave Collective. And I know those are the people that we surround ourselves with. And so if you walk in these doors, you know that you're going to be welcomed and you're going to be embraced as you are. wherever you are on your journey. And I think that is just a really beautiful thing. And I'm hopeful that more and more inclusivity continues to happen in businesses in this area.
I was here for Project Comcast or whatever that was the other night, Contrast. There was a girl here, and she was meek and hiding over in the corner, and she wasn't talking to anybody. And I went over and started talking to her. And then I heard through other people, by the end of the night, she made friends here, and she was more alive. And that's just what this environment, Dexter and Mary, that you guys are providing, is for people to be afraid, but come in and just watch and observe and see that it is a safe place. And then, I mean, that's huge.
So for the younger people at this table, hearing from people like Toni who have lived this journey years before we have, what are things that you hope to be looking back on 20 years from now and saying, remember when it was like this? Remember this thing that was so hard, and look where we are now? Like, what are some strides that you hope to make during your lifetime that you think will speak to future generations?
So something that like is really common to come across if you're a high schooler in high school is people with really, really, really bad mental health. Like that's like such a big thing. Every day you come across somebody, whether it's like a joke or somebody like having a breakdown, like sincerely, or I don't know. Just like people are like constantly discussing like anxiety and depression, because it's something that like a lot of youth are dealing with right now. And it's really hard. And they're like, it's really hard to like go through that and like see your peers commit suicide or see other people commit suicide that you know. And that's something that I would like to see improved, because people I personally knew who had committed suicide, it's really hard to watch that and not be able to do anything afterwards. And so, yeah, that's something, is improving the mental health of everyone, especially in the LGBTQ community, because it's, you know, extra hard when you have other people kind of weighing down on you. So.
Adding on to what Grace said, I really hope as mental health improves that education continues to improve, because I know a lot of people not in the community, like at school and just like in my own personal life, that don't really know a whole ton about it, and they're kind of like scared of it. And so I think as education continues to improve, then acceptance will grow with the community.
I don't know what to say for this one.
That's okay. What do you hope to look back on in 20 years and say, yes, we did it?
I don't know. It's not something I necessarily want to share, especially live streamed and stuff. It's personal.
If I can say something for you, though, you being bold enough to express yourself gives other people hope, and maybe it gives them the courage to do it. So you're an inspiration just by being you.
Yeah, I've had closeted students come up to me at the school I went to and ask me questions and stuff because they want to know, like, where could they go? Like, I've had people come up and ask me, can you change my name on my ID? Which I have done. And we're passing down that tradition since I graduated. There's a label printer. We print people's names because the school won't change them. Like, so they'll come to me for, like, resources and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe that's something we can add, is having, like going off of Ryland and Jackson, more inclusivity in the schools, like being able to get your name changed. Because it's they say it's for like legal purposes and it's for like technicality stuff, but like nobody cares if your ID says something different than like your legal papers, or in the yearbook if your name is different. I also think there should be gender neutral bathrooms just like everywhere.
So a friend and I looked back in some of the yearbooks, and a cisgender man had his name changed because he wanted it to be in the yearbook, and they wouldn't do that for any trans student. It's really difficult to see that, just their absolute refusal to change someone's name, even if it's something as simple as a yearbook. It's just awful.
Yeah, that is really hard. And I think that's something that I hope to look back on the same way that I look back now at my prom experience. And I'm like, man, I am so glad that students don't have to deal with that now. There might still be stigma attached. There might still be people who talk down on you for your gender identity or for your orientation, but there's not an actual policy preventing you from going to prom with the person that you choose to go with. And I'm like, okay, there's a step of progress. Like, what's next? And so I think about that a lot, especially in my work here at the Cave Collective. Is just like with the people in my life and the family members that I have who are in the LGBTQ community, it's like I want to make Rapid City a place that they want to be. And in order for that to happen, in order for us to have kids who graduate high school and want to stay here, in order for us to have, a community that's truly thriving, I think we have to continue to build safe places and start conversations around education and inclusivity and the things that matter, because when you're excluded and when you're not talked about or when you're talked about poorly, it has an effect on your mental health. And it's really hard to watch friends and family members that we love and care for struggle in that way and potentially even end their lives because they feel like they don't fit anywhere, they don't belong, or they'll never be included.
Something I would like to, you had talked about what would I like to see in the next 20 years. I would love to see us have more representation across the board on school boards, city council, different organizations, and state representative. Could happen.
Well, we're getting close to 7 o'clock. Did anyone have any further questions this evening? Another question.
I guess, like, when looking online for, like, accurate and good resources, are there any, like LGBT-related, like, places, like, or, like, organizations or such, like, I guess, like, if I found, like, accurate news or, like, just want to hang out with people, a part of the community, like, where could I look?
Yeah, so the question is about LGBTQ resources online. If there are any, whether it's like a community forum or places to get connected and find resources. Did you have any thoughts that you wanted to share first, Toni?
I would say in regards to that, check with your local, like if there's an LGBTQ community center like the Black Hills Center for Equality, check with them. They would know like even private groups that are available like on Facebook or Instagram or other social media outlets. I would also say if you're in a place that has none of that available, check. I would go to reputable places like the Human Rights Campaign or Transformation Project, names that are known to represent the LGBTQ community. Check out them and contact them for resources in your community.
Yeah, I know that I've utilized the Trevor Project in the past, so you can go there. You can find resources for like local listings of safe spaces. You can find resources for someone to talk to if you're in crisis or you want some help or a guide for coming out, things like that. So the Trevor Project, the Transformation Project, I know there are some support groups even here in Rapid City that meet. We have one that meets here at the Cave Collective every other Saturday. It's the Visible Lights Society. So that one's run by the Iris Clinic, which is our good friend Amanda Deal and then Kara Rowland, and they run the Iris Clinic, which is an extension of Community Health here in Rapid. And so if you have any questions regarding physical or mental health, when it comes to LGBTQ plus issues, you can go talk to Kara and they will absolutely connect you. They facilitate the group that's here at the Cave Collective. So that's every other Saturday at 3 p.m. We have the Visible Light Society. I know there's a group, Transcendence, that Alexis Novotny runs. And she's a fantastic facilitator for that and just a fantastic spokesperson for the community in general. Plus Club, I mean, like there are clubs starting up at the schools. I know that Douglas has a GSA now, and then there's Plus Club happening at Stevens High School, and hopefully Central will follow suit, and we'll just continue to move forward. But yeah, I would say that finding somewhere that's reputable, like what Toni said, that has been used as a resource by other people, might be able to find some online forums and safe spaces to either ask questions or just a safe place to be yourself for a little while if you're not in a place to safely come out in your regular day-to-day life.
Do you have any thoughts? Have you, any of you experienced any good spots?
I mean, personally, when I was like first, years ago, when I was first introduced to the LGBTQ community, I would kind of like website jump. It's like Toni mentioned, the Black Hills Center for Equality. They were like the first organization I was really exposed to that helped in this sense. And I would just go to the reputable sources like website, and you can see like who they're partnered with or like other sources. And then you go to their website and see who they're partnered with. And so like, I mean, it takes a while, and like if that's not your thing, like there's other ways you could do it. But that's just how I did it. I like went from page to page, and I got like this giant like list of like organizations and stuff all across the nation. Some of them small, some of them big. And that's kind of like how I was like introduced to a lot of what was happening around, especially since like they're like if you get like some like big nationwide organizations. They have like some news and they have like their stories and stuff, and so it was really cool for me to go on and like read about like other people across the nation and what they've done to help others, and kind of like, oh, that could be applied to like this area too. So
Yeah, that was a great question. Are there any other questions this evening? All right. Well, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's here on this panel. Some people I literally dragged in last minute, and so I'm very thankful to them. I won't name names, but I'm very grateful that they're here and that they're willing to join us and just add their voice to the conversation. Like we talked about earlier, we do have a lot coming up this week with Pride events and events at the Cave Collective. So if you're free tomorrow night, or even if you're not, cancel your plans and come down to the Cave Collective. At 6 p.m. until 8 p.m., we're going to be having our Love for All art exhibition and live performances from youth in the community. That's in collaboration with Black Hills Center for Equality, the Iris Clinic, Working Against Violence Incorporated, and Youth and Family Services. So we're super excited for that. We're also working with the City Council on that, and the Take Action, they're premiering their short film. So we're very excited. Join us for that. If you want to come check out some art and then you want to join us down here, we will have our open mic night as well happening in the living room of our facility. So you can go back there and perform if you'd rather do that than listen to someone else perform. We welcome that as well. That starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. We've got Youth Pride that we talked about coming up on Friday. And so that starts at 7 p.m. It's going to go until around 10 o'clock in the evening. We've got live music. We've got the coffee bar open and running. We're just going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be a drag show. It's just going to be a big, fun, sober party. And so come on down, bring your friends. You're very welcome to be here. And then we'll see you all on Saturday for the Together Again Pride in the Park, which starts at 10 a.m. and goes all the way until 4 p.m. Check out all 50 vendor booths, watch some drag, enjoy some live music, and just network and build community together, because the best way that we move forward is together. So again, thank you to Jackson, Grace, Rylan, and Toni for being here. Thank you to Dexter for running our live stream and our sound so that we don't sound like the teacher off of Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. And we'll close out with a little Kazoo Chorus this evening. That's all we have for you folks.